Hi, everybody. I'm Debbie Belaus with Feel Good Qigong. And my goal is in doing these YouTube videos is to help empower people to stay healthy and functional, especially after the age of 55, when the body still really starts to break down. And I found that I needed some new kinds of routines to fit my lifestyle and my age. So Qigong is one of those principles that has really fit that bill, and also my yoga practice that I've had for almost my whole life, and also mindfulness, meditation. And so what I'm starting to notice is that a lot of my what I have studied over the years is kind of fusing together. So it's starting to create a fusion of movements. But my main focus is practicing Qigong, energy cultivation. But I wanted to add something with muscle strength and endurance, and not so much building muscle mass, but building muscle strength and endurance, because that's what a lot of it is, what we need, especially aging. We want to be able to still functionally be able to do all the things we used to do. But some things, we definitely have to modify. I found the one thing that I travel, pretty often. I'm semi-retired, and a lot of my friends do a lot of traveling because they're over the age, the retirement age. And I did notice that a lot of things you need equipment to exercise. And if you're traveling, you don't want to bring equipment with you. So you kind of lose that momentum maybe when you're traveling. You don't want to do that because we really want to do something at least every day. And so I was trying to think, okay, what could I add to my routine that could give me muscle strength and endurance besides what else, I'm doing? I can get that in with Qigong, but not all the time. So what I found to be the easiest thing and the safest way is doing isometrics. It's such an easy thing to do and learn, and you can do it anywhere because you don't need any equipment. You can do it sitting, you could do it standing, you can lie down, you could do it against the wall. Many different ways of doing isometric exercises. And the difference between that and lifting weights is, and I'll explain this a little bit more technical, you're working, so it's called eccentric and concentric. Those are lifting weights. When you're actually taking the weights in your hand or the machines, you're moving. But isometric is static. There is no movement happening except the pressure load that you're putting on a certain muscle using your own body mass. So it's less strain on the joints, which is really great. And it's really beneficial for recovering from any kind of injury. So you can still get muscle strength, not so much that muscle buildup that you see, that refinement, but you're getting a muscle strength and endurance from doing isometric exercises. It's safer than doing free weights or machines even. It's great if you're recovering from something. And also you're still getting all the chemical reactions that the body needs from doing any kind of muscle strengthening. So that's what I love about isometric exercises. So I'm going to show you a few things that you can just add in any sort of routine that you want, that you're doing. And I've been adding these to my classes as well. I'm just going to back up here a little bit so you can see me, because I'm going to start right off with, and you might have heard me talking about isometric movement in some of my other classes, because I do add them in, but I'm adding some more in. But anyway, we're just going to start with the legs, the hips and the thighs. Really important for having very strong thighs and hips so we can get up and down, again, for functional movement in and out of a car, picking up your grandchild, all that kind of stuff. One thing we're going to talk about quite a bit is taking your tongue and just pressing it against the roof of your mouth. Now, when you do that, let's all do that. You're going to feel an engaging and in the neck. You're going to feel them starting to engage when you do it. So let's try that again. Just bring the tongue to the roof of the mouth and just hold it. And you'll feel this engagement and activation in the neck muscle. So it's a really good thing to do when you are doing any kind of lifting, pushing, pulling, any of these isometric movements as well. It just gives you that extra stability in the neck. And I've been using that more and more, even when I'm like lifting something up, when I bring that tongue and press it against the roof of my mouth, it does stabilize my neck muscles. So we're going to come to the edge of the chair, and you want a very firm chair. Edge of the chair, feet are flat on the floor. And we're going to start with just bringing your hands to the tops of your thighs. And we're going to lift the left leg up off the floor, and you're pressing your hand into the thigh into your hand. So this is what these isometric movements are about. You're doing some compression here. You'll feel an activation in that hip joint and then release. So I felt that right in my hip joint. I'm going to lift the other leg. First, just lift it, pressing your hand into the thigh into your hand, creating that activation. Typically, you want to hold it for 30 seconds is probably the best. And you want to have at least 50% of pressure. You can go even more if you want, but maybe in the beginning, just start with maybe 50% of the pressure. We'll do the other side. So I'm pressing in. I know you can have a timer and time it for 30 seconds, but I'm feeling a really strong stimulation in that hip joint. So maybe just do it as long as I want you to feel that before you end it. So at least charge that up a little bit. And you can keep the tongue to the roof of the mouth to stabilize your neck muscles and then release. We'll do this again. You're lifting up, pressing in, hand into the thigh into the hand, creating that stimulation in that hip joint and the thigh. And then we'll do the other side. So easy, very easy to do. Now we're going to bring our hands to the inside of the legs, working the inner muscles of the thigh. And we're going to press in again, press into the inner thigh into the hands. Hold it for about 30 seconds. Breathe, tongue to the roof of the mouth to stabilize your neck. And you want to breathe. You don't want to hold the breath when you're doing this. Never want to hold the breath. And then we'll release. Take a couple of breaths here. We'll do it again. Press, 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 press. Press in. Press the hands into the leg. At least, and I could also feel this in the back of my shoulders as well. So we're kind of getting both here. And then release. We'll do this one more time. Press in. Hold. Breathe. And then release. We'll do the outer. So now you're going to bring your hands on the outer edge of the legs. So I talk a lot about collapsing in the inner thighs. So when we collapse in the inner thighs, we're collapsing the arches as well. And that's because we don't have that muscle strength that we need in the inner thigh. So, this one that I just did is really great for that. Hands on the outside of the knees. We're going to do the same thing. Press your hands into the outer knee, outer knee into the hands. I also feel this in the backs of my shoulders, so it's working those back muscles a little bit. Do for about 30 seconds, and you're holding and you're breathing, and then release, let it relax. So you don't see a lot of movement in my body. That's what the isometric movements are. They're static, and then we'll press. The other thing, the recovery is very quick. You're not going to feel how you might be doing with free weights and then the muscles hurt. You won't have that. So I think that's also a benefit. And then press, press, press. So you can do this waiting in an airport. I was talking about traveling. When you're sitting down, do this. You can do this in your car when you're at a stoplight. Just take a break and do this and try to maybe bring this into your life a little bit more, some of these exercises. Now we're going to do something with our hands. Easy one. We're kind of like bringing the hands together, like you're going, yay, that kind of thing. So I've got my left hand on top, my right hand on the bottom. And you want your shoulders down, tongue to the roof of the mouth to engage and stabilize those neck muscles. And you're pressing the palms into each other. Hold it for about 30 seconds, at least 50% effort. You can go even more, but maybe in the beginning, just do maybe 50% effort and release. Breathe. Again, press, press, press. Press both hands into each other. And you're also stimulating, you're getting a life vibration on the bone. So it's also good for bone density as well. And then release. We'll do it again. Press, press, press for about 30 seconds. You're breathing. Use at least 50% of your weight. And then release. We'll do the other side. So now the right hand is on top of my left. Let the shoulders rest towards more the back of the body. And then we're going to press again. Press, 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 press. And where do you feel that? So I feel that here, my biceps. I feel a little bit in my back muscles as well. And we're pressing, 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 pressing. And then release. And then we'll do it again. Press, 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 press. And release. And then again, press, press, press. At least for 30 seconds. I'm not doing quite as 30 seconds, but Maybe, you can even go longer and use a little bit more than 50% of your exertion, and then release. So let's come to standing now. We'll do a couple of things here. Standing. Right off, I use this one a lot for standing like a mountain and really engaging the inner thigh muscles. But we're going to start with the feet, and we're going to start working on the legs a little bit. So press your feet away from each other like you're spreading the mat between your feet. I'll come back a little bit more. You're going to feel an engagement here. You're going to feel the engagement in the thigh muscles. You're going to feel the engagement in your arches. It's going to lift your arches up, and then it lifts that inner core up in the inner thighs I had talked about before. And then it'll start to engage your core as well, this whole part of your core, which is about from here to here. You're engaging this whole area, pubic bone, not too far in, not too far back. You want to find that just right position of the pelvic region, and really engage. So you're pressing the feet like you're pressing the mat or whatever you're standing on away from you. Again, you can't see me really moving here, but I'm activating this isometric movement to really engage my inner thigh muscles, which is very important to keep engaged from this happening, from collapsing in the arches, from collapsing in the inner thigh. And you'll feel more of a powerful stance when you do this. So this would be, your mountain. And we're going to engage a little bit more here, stabilizing the neck muscles again. We're going to press our palm, or you can even use your fingers if you want, into the forehead into the hand. And again, your isometric movement, you're stabilizing the neck muscles. And this will also create more of a sturdiness in your standing. It's real important to feel sturdy in your standing so you don't have falls. So we're always trying to prevent from falling. And engaging those inner thighs, it lifts those arches up, isometric movement, and then you can relax. Let everything kind of collapse. We'll do this one more time, pressing the feet away from each other, really activating the arches, the inner core, all from the feet all the way up to the core, to this power source, to this powerhouse, and then pressing the hand into the forehead. Press, 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 engaging the neck muscles. You can also do the same thing I did before, where you bring the tongue to the roof of the mouth to engage and stabilize these neck muscles. And then relax, let it out. Have your chair maybe in front of you or the side, wherever you want. We're going to work on the calf muscles. Now, the calf muscles you want to keep them strong. Because they pump your lymphatic fluids up, so those lymph nodes can start opening and working for you. So we're just, again, finding that mountain again, press the feet away from each other, and then we lift up, come onto the toes if you can. You're really activating those calf muscles, and you can hold for about 30 seconds, again, really activating those calf muscles, and then release your heels. So we're just going to go up and down. This is going to be a little quicker. Then because I wanted more of you get a pumping action as well. Again, isometric movements are static, but this particular one, we're trying to just to get some of the strength in the calf muscles, the lengthening in the calf muscles all at the same time, and also creating that pumping action of your lymphatic fluids, so they start pumping up and getting into your lymph nodes to release any toxins. So we're just doing a little bit of lifting up and down, lifting up onto the toes and down. This is also really good for your ankles, which I talk about a lot. And down, and then again, and down. And you'll feel some tingling in those calf muscles, which is a good thing. Now we're going to work the upper and the lower body in these two movements. So you want to have your feet about hip width apart. We're going to be coming into a little bit of a squat. But you want to be careful here. Let's set this up. Find your mountain first, then bend your knees, and you want to make sure you can still see your toes, because if you go too far, and see these if you're too far forward with the knees over your feet, it's really not going to be nice to your joints. So you want to make sure when you're bending your knees that you can still see your toes. There's a little bit, again, engagement of the core again, and engagement of those thigh muscles. Now, by just simply doing this and coming down and holding separating the feet away from each other, like I explained before, you're engaging those thigh muscles. It's an isometric movement for the thighs and for the hips. And then you'll release and come to standing. And then again, and shift into the heels when you're squatting, really activating those thigh muscles again and the hip joints, and then release. And we'll do it again. Squat, and you can hold this for as long as you do 30 seconds again or a little bit longer, but we're going to add the arms this time. You're going to bring your hands together, the palms of the hands, make sure the shoulder blades are back and down, and you're pressing the palms of the hands together. As you're doing this, you're activating those thigh muscles. So this is almost a full body isometric stance. This will also engage. You'll feel this right here in the abdominals. So we're really getting all those areas. Now, plank is another great all over body isometric movement as well. We'll do that later on, but first I just want you to kind of get used to doing this a little bit more. Again, it's so much, there's effort here. We're putting effort into this because you want to use at least your 50% effort or more. You might feel a little bit of a shaking, activating those muscles, and then release. One more, really, 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 really press here. Press, 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 press. And then release. We'll do one more. This is called, it's called chair, getting in and out of a chair. Again, you want a sturdy chair. We're going to sit on the edge, feet flat on the floor. Let's activate all those areas. Bring your hands to the inner thighs. Activate that. Feet are flat on the floor. Arms are at your side. We're going to start to sit up. So you lean forward a little bit, engaging those abdominals, and we simply stand. And then we'll come back down, have your hands behind you so you don't fall. You want to be really careful with this. And then if you want to just stay here and sit, you can also do that if you're not sure. And simply doing this, you're activating those thigh muscles and legs, and then maybe you can start working your way up. You want to be able to sit and stand comfortably. And that's going to take calf muscles. That's going to take thigh muscles. It's going to take your core muscles and your inner thigh muscles and the hip muscles to easily do this with no pain. So that'll be an indication. If you've lost that functionality of doing this, then for sure, do some of these isometric movements that I just showed you. I hope this helps, and maybe add that throughout your day. A friend of mine told me she does it in her car now. When she comes to a stop, she holds onto the steering wheel and she'll press into the steering wheel like that. And I could feel that in my whole back region. So that's something else that you can kind of practice from, when you're sitting in front of a light. Do something, do this. This is really simple and easy and very beneficial. Thank you so much for joining me. Hope you have a nice, strong day. Namaste.